Jim, this is a great game that we're going to have our eyes on, of course. We'll have another one to talk about in just a moment. But when it comes to Duke and Kansas, what jumps out to you in this matchup, and how do you make a decision how you want to make a play on this game?
You mentioned the defenses, and that's what I've got my eye on. And it's specifically Duke's defense. They've been sensational so far this season. Granted, they've only played two ASUN opponents, but they've held them to 0.73 and 0.53 points per possession. That really kind of jumped out at me, especially because in the preseason, John Shire was talking about how great this team could be defensively. They also got Derek Lively back last game, potentially an elite shot blocker. So the back line of that defense is secure here. They've got a couple of really good matchups for Kansas' best scorers, like Mark Mitchell and Jacob Grandison can handle Grady Dick and Jalen Wilson. So I've been looking at the Blue Devils here. You mentioned the money coming in. A little bit of that is my money on Blue Devils plus 1.5. It's now flipped over to -1, but I think it's still worth a look there for Duke.
Okay, and there's no Bill Self still for Kansas, currently suspended, so not coaching in this game against Duke. How about Kentucky and Michigan State? This game actually starts off the Champions Classic in Indianapolis. They tip at 7 o'clock. What's the angle here? I know there's some injury news we have to keep eyes on as it pertains to the Kentucky side.
Yeah, that's the big bit of information here. Is Oscar Tshiebwe going to play? If he plays, how good will he look? He's coming off an arthroscopic knee procedure, has not gotten in the game yet. I know he's been doing some work at practice, but you have to wonder if the explosion is going to be there. A guy coming off a surgery like that, he's a big guy. His game is built around his athleticism, his effort level. Is he going to be able to sustain that? Maybe he's on a bit of a pitch count and minutes limit. That's something to look out for. Michigan State's much more battle tested, though. They went out to San Diego. They played on the carrier. They got a really solid performance out of Mady Sissoko inside. I think that was the big concern with Michigan State coming into this year was, do they have interior defense, rebounding, a lob threat for pick and roll action? And he emerged as that on the carrier against Gonzaga. So I'm looking at Michigan State potentially here on the side, but I haven't bet it yet. I also kind of like the under. Both the last two meetings between these two in the Champions Classic have gone under. Kentucky's won them both, but I think we see this game be a little bit tighter. Teams trying to figure things out offensively. Lean towards the under in this one, Brendan.
Okay, 79% of the money coming in on under 141.5, according to the Action app right now in Michigan State, Kentucky. I'm always fascinated too by Coach Cal. Like, it feels like more nowadays for his teams. Now he's got a balance of seniors and freshmen on this team, but from an experience standpoint, it feels like they're still trying to play their best basketball later in the year, which is the goal for everybody. But more so lately than previous years under Cal, growing pains, I feel like, tend to be more of a thing for the Kentucky Wildcats early in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned experience, and it's not all experience in Kentucky's system, though. You know, he's bringing in a lot of transfers. Right. CJ Frederick didn't play last year. He was hurt, but him and Antonio Reeves, guys coming in making their first year of impact on the court. That's different than guys that have been in the program for 3 or 4 years. So I agree. It's going to take a little while for them to mesh, but I think Michigan State's still figuring out a little bit as well.
I feel like it's a rule of thumb now. We have to mention the word transfer whenever we do a college basketball.
Portal. Got to say it.
The portal gives, the portal takes. That's the way I look at it this year in college hoops and years to come, I would guess. Okay, we're turning the shot clock on. 30 seconds or less. Your favorite pick elsewhere tonight in college hoops.
I'm going with an under, an ugly one. Wisconsin is hosting Green Bay, in-state rivalry here. Will Ryan, the son of Badger royalty, Bo Ryan, coming into Kohl Center. The last two meetings when Will Ryan has been there have been ugly. Under by 20-plus points. Green Bay has barely cracked 40 points either time. So I think this one's going to be ugly again. I saw 132 in the market. It might have come down a hair, but I think it's going to be well under. Slow-paced slog of a game. I think we see an under there in Madison.